again, is this a joke? I mean, 40 days later, I'm still trying to determine that since the last time I actually looked at this show. I mean, I'm not entirely sure if what that person said to me is accurate. It's I'm not ruling it out, but of course they're not going to say that because it has implication. But anyway, Thundercats Roar has officially debuted on Cartoon Network as of today. I did not watch it live, but as you can tell by this video's title, the pilot already leaked online, as did the other next 4 episodes I have on the pike. So this is going to be on the first 6 of them. So it's definitely not an easy task to talk about this because of all the ballyhoo surrounding it and how effectively the show's very existence has become almost overshadowed by controversy of how they're approaching it. And I also want to make clear that I don't bear any of the cast and crew ill will, mainly because I'm not really familiar with them. I had to check the IMDb pages of almost everyone on who was involved in these episodes. Especially given the series and the creator, as well as the producers, who again worked on actual good stuff such as Adventure Time and Okay Here Let's Be Heroes, but also the infamous movie 43. So let's get this going. I'm gonna be talking about how the 4 episodes I watched collectively. So let's get this started with The Legend of Boggy Ben, 3rd episode, and Prank Call, the 4th episode. So the two halves of this one, while one of them involves trying to find a swamp monster who apparently becomes a recurring villain, or at least is being set up as one. The second is about trying to prank Mumra, which goes poorly, to put it mildly. They're not quite as heavy on the exposition dumping as the pilot was, but they are still, in a sense, not really introducing these characters so much as all going around talking at the same time. About who they're all going like, hey, it's me, I'm the big one. Hey, it's me, I'm the girl one. Hey, it's me, I'm the kid one. Hey, it's me, I'm the other kid one. Hey, it's me, I'm the second in command. And hey, it's me, I'm the leader of the heroes for some reason. Hey, it's me, I'm the leader of the villains for some reason. Guys, I mentioned this before, but it bears repeating that introducing a character or concept is not the same as establishing it. Because, as I pointed out before, even with my familiarity with the past incarnations, typically other versions of 1980s IPs, even if you haven't seen the original versions, are pretty good at establishing how different each continuity is and how they operate. Like when you factor in ones like Transformers, Ninja Turtles, and especially in the case of DuckTales, which makes sense because if you haven't seen any of the previous incarnations, and they will stand on their own as well as including some homages to the previous incarnations. And as for this whole bit in episode 4 where there's an Easter egg towards the Sister Show Silverhawks, which Wiley, Cat, and Kit dismissed as boring. Yeah. Would you believe that line was the one that actually convinced me to do this as follow-up? I was on the fence before then, but now you might say, hey, I got pushed off by someone throwing something, and that was it. I mean, because their aim was they would be honoring the original series, but also take its own direction with it. Which, if that seems any indication, as well as what I've seen in these episodes, it's just it could not be farther from the truth. I mean, another thing kind of reminds me of that I did not mention before is kind of like the infamous 2015 Gem of the Holograms, which has similar pitch, but infamously got criticized by critics and fans alike, and couldn't even make back half its $5 million budget, and got pulled from theaters after the bare minimum 2 weeks and keep a new release. That's mine for the day, so let's keep going here. Okay, and also episodes 5 and 6, Driller and Secret of the Unicorn, I mean, they have a lot of issues here with the show. I mean, again, the Driller, like I just mentioned, is voiced by Stephen Tobolowsky, who you may know from my Dr. Groundhog Day this month as Ned Ryerson. So I just really hope that they don't really play to Tobolowsky's strengths as a comedic actor at all. I mean, he's best when you have someone to play off of who contrasts his more outgoing persona. I mean, that's what made Murray such an effective contrast to him in that film, as I mentioned before. In fact, in general, while the voice cast I'm not familiar with does have some reasonable credits to them, like apparently Max Middleman, the voice of Lionel in the series, also, as well as Patrick Sates, who is voicing Tyra. I mean, both of them have a lot of worked in anime and video games, with Middleman being the title character of Mob and Monster 100, as well as Saitama and One Punch Man. So maybe it's just being given bad direction. I don't really know. And Secret of the Unicorn is just, I don't really know. I mean, unicorns are kind of in again lately. I mean, they've been that way for a while. They've kind of been galvanized with the success of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic over the course of the last decade. How they go pretty well with Deadpool and to some extent Captain Boomerang. And once again, in regards to Snarf, apparently also on top of the other stuff I mentioned, the pilots, it's now having a game console side of him as well. Again, that was the point I started checking my Mountain Dew this morning to make sure no one had spiked it. They had not. The show was just very strange and also not very good. I guess I must have missed that self-aggrandizing remark that Chitara made because I was totally zoned out by that point in the pilots, but someone else got it online, and I was not happy when I found out about that. And neither will other people. Do you know why that this made people mad? I'll explain in a moment, because brace yourselves. Yeah. Do you know why myself and others have such affection for the previous incarnation Chitara other than her figure? And I don't just mean the one I have in my hand, because she earned the right to stand alongside her fellow cast. As she continued to earn it over the course of both previous incarnations, and the creators of the last show they did have expressed interest in still picking up where they left off, sharing bits and pieces of their storylines, shared opportunity to rise, and depending on how this is received, that might be a potential idea if you wanted to do something like they did with Samurai Jack's 5th season, Adult Swim or streaming. which might be a viable option given how, based on the reception I saw on IMDb, which was not good in the slightest. I mean, as I pointed out before, the visuals are not just kind of jarring because of the designs I went with, but again, the stuff they seem to have done on purpose just looks terrible. I mean, I don't think there's a single whole frame that I personally, when I was just on pause, I thought looked good at all. Man, oh man, it's like I know. I mean, just seeing the thumbnails I have for some of the YouTube promos, those I know it's like at least 3 continuity errors in the exact same still. Man, like the one where Chitara's facing off against and Mumra. I mean, like it's supposed to be looking at him or his staff. I mean, what's with their legs? Why proportions so bad? Man, I don't know. And they still have that same problem growing and shrinking in between shots, or even the same shot, mind you. Even though I don't give a clear indication how they can do that. I mean, where sense, but I will give them credit for one thing between the preview online, the pilot, and the one that's actually now currently airing. And by the time you see this, that they did indeed tone down on the visuals, the speed, the heat, and brightness of the hip flashes is. But if I'm being totally honest, they could have really benefited from having the delay to maybe revamp the designs a bit, and the rating, and give it like the Sonic the Hedgehog treatment, even where they make the designs more workable in a different format because of how. I mean, I don't really buy into some of the Tumblr comparisons because even people on Tumblr were not happy about this. I mean, they pointed out how you can make the designs closer to the originals with this style, or at the very least make them a bit more cat-like. I mean, I'm having. Just imagine the Michael Bay Turtles or Transformers on certain Wars attitude again. Just imagine, say, I know the comments probably say, well, it's really previews because of the Copa situation, but just imagine the Ghostbusters debacle amplified by what was in magnitude, and you've basically got how this is being received, how divisive it is. I mean, I'll just deal with a new one again as it comes this summer. Yeah. So, this would also be normally a time where I would say what they're trying to send, what message they're trying to send, but what messages? There's almost nothing of value who else I can mention to speak of. I mean, again, I basically just described the plots of the first 6 episodes again. I mean, some of them play like Cliff Note versions of previous incarnation of the series. Others are boring at best and vindictive at worst. I mean, they're not even going like a spoof face-off route like some of the other shows on the network have. I mean, have been pretty effective towards where they basically are portrayed as so absurd and nonsensical that they basically are not impossible to take seriously. Yeah, that's the absurdity of it all. That's hilarity there. In fact, I didn't even smile once during the supposed comedic one. I cringed at how something like this could even pass for muster. But in general, if anything, the concept was on its core conceptually bad. In that sense, I think you got at least enough material for like a Robot Chicken sketch or a YouTube video with this series, but not an entire season worth of content, to be frank. Makes sense. And just in general, I feel like playing the Destruction of Thundere for laughs would be akin to if you want to put a laugh track like over Daenerys burning down King's Landing. And it's only fitting that I use one divisive TV series to talk about another a divisive one, to be frank. I mean, I guess given you could tell how I'm dressed in my post in this place, even if not everything that's been on the new Toonami's that got brought back in 2012 has been something I've been personally into. I may not be going as far as some of these other posts I've had, but if you're old enough to, if you want an action series that has consistently instant characterization and interesting plots and unique artwork, by all means, now would be a good time to take up anime. That's definitely what I'd be suggesting, That's one thing I know is because, again, with the previous Toonami, given how I was born in the 90s, I obviously was around when the original series was airing in 1985. I'm what you would call a second generation fan, and given it aired in reruns on Toonami, it fit the brand right in between episodes of the Dragon Ball and Gundam Wing. I would see these ones. I actually was really intrigued by the world building and how they made the setting seem unique. And that also applied to the short-lived but highly acclaimed Swan series as well, but this has almost none of that. Previous ones I had, such as, whether I've liked other previous incarnations, other shows I've had over the past decade or so. Sure, of course, there have been some duds and some times where I've panned series that went on to become big hits and praised ones that fade into obscurity. I honestly don't care who's trying to defend this and what they're going to try to do it, but none of it's going to work for me. Yeah, I've seen many things, given how I'm only slightly older than the network this is airing on. Many shows that became massive hits, relatively obscure programs for lucky attraction, but I personally will suggest that when weighed against the other ones like with Teen Titans Go, Powerpuff 2016, and Ben 10 2017, and it's marginally better to make them fully charged, but it's probably, so far as we're concerned, my least favorite incarnation of Thundercats. I am honestly going to be very open about this, even with Go, I understood fairly early on that it was going to be a different beast from the previous Titans, and not just the ones that Beast Boy turned into. I was actually really surprised by how some of the Easter eggs I found just doing that, like how sometimes we see the Batcave, we see some really dark Easter eggs, like how there's the Aaron Jason Todd's remains, and also even though there was some risque jokes in Powerpuff, as well as that unpleasantness regarding one of the people working the crew, deep down, even though they explain their characters more, they're still my girls. Like Commando the Leader, Join the Laughter, and the Toughest Fighter. Though I do admit, with the constructs, are they secretly Rainbow Lanterns as well? I had to wonder that, same thing. And on Ben 10 2017 is pretty bad. Again, I'm not a big Ben 10 fan, but I wouldn't be surprised if the end had ended soon. Mainly because in terms of ratings, reviews, and toy sales, it's not doing too well in my area at all. Mega Man fully charged. I think I had to wonder, that has to be one case of plausible deniability, like they do sometimes. And it's like that way, if they get an Adventure Time, a regular show, how a Steven Universe or Gakeo on their hands, they can say, yeah, that's our show. Feel free to enjoy your fandom and our merchandise, but if it flops, they can say, Mega Man fully charged? I know what you're talking about. Ouch, Yeah. One positive thing about that series between that show's failure and the subsequent success of Mega Man 11, and then I'll give it credit where it's due. It finally got Capcom to care about Mega Man again, and I mean, after years of basically treating him like junk, and but this, I'm not sure how this is gonna go over. I mean, they're trying to claim it might cause another wave of fandom, but based on how they're not even promoting as much as like Teen Titans Go or Craig of the Creek or even Gumball, I don't think it's going to happen. Again, like with the samples I took before, for each hour I watched, I only saw one promotion per ad break, like, which maybe he's signaling to me that maybe the networks know they got a flop on their hands, are trying to brace with the impact of it. And it might even be a potential fan forces situation where it might even be such a failure that it might even just give the rights back to its rights holder or sell them to someone else who'll probably do more with it. I mean, that's how badly that film flopped. I mean, I thought it was okay, but I can at least understand why a lot of people didn't like it, you know? I mean, they could have actually have made money without even bothering to release New Incarnation by simply just doing this to start with, by selling the rights off to someone else instead. And I mean, the most disappointing part to me is how the creator, I don't really know him. I don't really, not really taking part in trying to go after him personally. I could tell he admitted he wanted to make something that he would enjoy as much as others would, but based on all the downvotes the promos have been getting, as well as the 1.7 out of 10 IMDb rating by the time I record this, not really going as planned. And even though Toy Fair is currently occurring in New York by the time I'm recording this, even though there's been some collector-oriented items, like anything from retro-styled action figures to Funko Pops to big statues, I'm not seeing any merches for this at all. Like how, again, the other IPs I mentioned, like how, well, you have stuff like Star Wars, Transformers, TMNT, and also Power Rangers having not only their past successes but also their future endeavors. Like how they've got everything from the Child to Mandalorian, the Yoda analog, to every scale from like a Funko to like a replica of the animatronic they're using in the show. I mean, over a high-end market. I mean, when no licensees want to not even touch this show, that's not really a good sign. Right, at all. I mean, especially since other ones are proven, like some of these new Pokemon series, as well as how the Clone Wars and the Revival are proof you can reinvigorate a beloved anime TV show from the past without doing something like this, man. So, like I said before, if you want to talk about how this, I'm not going to try and stop you, but I'm just letting you know right now, fair warning. I mean, even considering how my oldest cat has occasionally left things on the floor or she's got sick, this has to be less Thundercats, more hairball. That's all for now. See ya. Mm-hmm.